The room is dim, just the soft glow of my desk lamp, casting long shadows across the walls. It's late, too late, really, and the house around me feels heavier in the silence of night. Outside, the wind whispers through the trees, brushing against the windows like fingers testing for weakness. I can hear the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, a distant creak from the settling floorboards upstairs. It's the kind of quiet that amplifies every little sound, making you question if it's just the house or something else. Have you ever been truly alone at night, wrapped in that blanket of darkness, and suddenly felt like you weren't? That prickling on the back of your neck, the certainty that eyes are on you from the shadows. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true stories from people who experienced just that, ordinary folks home alone, whose nights turned into nightmares they'll never forget. These aren't made-up tales, they're real accounts, pieced together from what they shared, and they've left scars that time can't heal. First, imagine peering out your window on a stormy evening, only to see a shadowy figure pacing just beyond the light, its form twisting unnaturally. Then, picture lying awake in your apartment, hearing footsteps in the hallway outside, a whisper calling your name through the door. And finally, think of a remote cabin deep in the woods, where a knock echoes at the exact same time every night, growing closer until it's right beside you. These stories will make you double-check your locks, glance over your shoulder, and maybe even leave a light on. So settle in. Dim the lights if you dare, and let's begin. Remember, what happened to them could happen to anyone, even you. It was a Friday night in late October, and the storm had been building all day. My family was away for the weekend, my wife visiting her sister, the kids tagging along, and I had the whole house to myself in our quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, lawns manicured, streetlights humming softly after dusk. I relished the solitude at first, poured myself a scotch, settled into the living room couch with a classic horror flick on the TV. Rain pelted the windows like impatient fingers, and thunder rumbled in the distance, but it felt cozy, contained. I made tea around 9 p.m., the kettle whistling cheerfully as I stirred in some honey, glancing out the kitchen window at the swaying trees. That's when I heard the faint click of the backyard gate. Our fence is sturdy, latched tight, but storms can rattle things loose. I shrugged it off, blamed the wind. Back on the couch, the movie's tension built, shadows dancing on the screen mirroring the ones outside. Then the power flickered, just for a second, the lights dimming, TV glitching before snapping back. Odd, but not unheard of in bad weather. I paused the film, listened to the rain, and that's when I noticed the crunching sound, like leaves underfoot, slow and deliberate, coming from the yard. I told myself it was a neighbor's cat, or maybe debris tumbling in the gusts. But as I resumed the movie, the sounds persisted, rhythmic, almost like pacing. The night wore on, and the storm intensified, sheets of rain blurring the world beyond the glass. I tried to focus on the screen, but my eyes kept drifting to the window beside me, where the curtains hung half open. That's when I saw a shadow, elongated and humanoid, moving just outside the pool of light from the porch lamp. It wasn't rushing, it was strolling, back and forth along the edge of the yard, as if surveying the house. My heart skipped, but I rationalized it a neighbor checking their property, maybe, or a trick of the lightning. I grabbed my phone, shone the flashlight through the glass, but the beam cut through the downpour and revealed nothing but wet grass and swaying bushes. The shadow was gone. Relieved, I sat back, but then the dog, our old Labrador, usually fearless, started whining from his bed in the corner. He lifted his head, ears perked, but refused to budge when I called him over. "Come on, boy," I whispered, but he just stared at the window, a low growl building in his throat. The lights flickered again, longer this time, plunging the room into momentary darkness. When they came back, I swore I saw the shadow pass closer, its outline sharper, like it was testing the boundary of the light. I muted the TV, strained to listen over the rain. Crunch, crunch, definitely footsteps now, circling the house. My phone buzzed then, screen lighting up with static before settling an unknown number calling. But when I answered, only silence, then a faint breathing that mirrored my own. I hung up, heart pounding, and texted my wife. "Everything okay there?" "Storm's bad here," she replied quickly. "All good. Kids asleep. Miss you." But as I set the phone down, it glitched again, the screen flickering like the lights. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I stood, peered through the blinds in the kitchen, and there it was, the figure. Taller than I expected, pacing deliberately along the fence line. It didn't look right, its movements were jerky, like a puppet on strings, head tilting as if listening. The dog was barking now, full-throated, but still glued to his spot, tail tucked. I flicked on every light in the house, flooding the yard, but the shadow melted away just as the beams hit. "Who's out there?" I yelled, voice cracking, but only thunder answered. The phone rang again, same unknown number. This time, when I picked up, a garbled voice whispered something unintelligible, like wind through cracks. I slammed it down, grabbed a baseball bat from the closet, and checked the doors locked, deadbolted. But the footsteps grew louder, crunching right up to the side of the house, pausing beneath the windows. Lights flickered with each step, as if the thing was drawing power from the air. I retreated to the living room, bat in hand, eyes glued to the glass, and then it approached directly, the shadow elongating toward the window, features indistinct, but somehow wrong, elongated limbs, a face that seemed to press forward. In that instant, it vanished, dissolving into the rain like smoke. But the power cut out completely then, plunging everything into blackness. The TV died, the hum of appliances silenced, only the storm raging outside. I froze, bat raised, listening. Heavy footsteps now inside the house. Thud, thud, slow and deliberate, coming from the kitchen. How? The doors were locked. I backed away, heart slamming, and ducked into the hallway closet, pulling the door shut behind me. Darkness enveloped me, thick and suffocating. I clutched my phone, but the screen was dead, no signal. Each creak of the floorboards echoed like thunder in my ears, the footsteps drawing nearer. Pausing outside the closet door, I held my breath, sweat trickling down my back, every muscle tensed. Was that breathing? Raspy wet, just on the other side of the wood. Minutes stretched into eternity. I whispered prayers under my breath, begging for the lights to return. Finally, after what felt like hours, sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors must have called about the outage. The police arrived within 20 minutes, flashlights cutting through the dark as they checked the property. Power came back sporadically, revealing muddy footprints, tracked across the kitchen floor, leading straight to the living room wall, and stopping there. No exit, no smudges, just ending abruptly as if the intruder had walked into the plaster. They found the gate unlatched, but no signs of forced entry. probably kids messing around in the storm. One officer said, but his eyes lingered on those prints. I showed them the security cam footage from our backyard system, hours of rain and wind. Nothing unusual except one single frame frozen at 11:47 p.m., where a pale, distorted face was pressed against the window glass, eyes wide and unblinking, mouth stretched in a silent scream. The cops couldn't explain it, said it might be a glitch. But I know what I saw, what I heard. That night changed everything. I don't sleep well anymore, insomnia grips me, and when I do drift off, I wake to imagined footsteps outside. We installed more cameras, brighter lights, but sometimes, late at night, I catch a shadow flitting just beyond their reach. And I wonder if it's still out there, watching, waiting for the next storm. Living alone in a cramped urban apartment has its perks close to work, buzzing city life during the day, but at night, the building turns into a tomb of silence. I'm an insomniac writer, pounding away at my keyboard until dawn, fueled by black coffee and the glow of my laptop screen. The hallway outside my door is narrow, lined with identical units, and after midnight, it's dead quiet, no footsteps, no voices, just the occasional distant elevator hum. That changed one Tuesday around 2 a.m. I was deep into a chapter when I heard a soft scrape under my door, like paper sliding across the floor. Curious, I got up, flipped on the light, and there it was, a folded note, plain white, no envelope. Unfolding it, my blood chilled. In neat, block letters, I see you're awake too. No signature, no context. I laughed it off at first, probably a neighbor's prank, or maybe meant for someone else. But as I crumpled it and tossed it in the trash, unease settled in my gut. Who knew I was up? My windows faced a brick wall no one could see in. The next night, same routine, typing away, the city lights filtering through my blinds in slivers. Around 3 a.m., I heard its slow footsteps in the hallway, measured and heavy, pacing back and forth. They started at the far end, near the stairs, and moved closer, pausing right outside my door before retreating. I froze, fingers hovering over the keys. It could be a neighbor with insomnia, I thought, but the rhythm was too deliberate, too persistent. This went on for 20 minutes, back and forth, like someone deciding whether to knock. Finally, silence returned, and I exhaled, shaking it off as paranoia. But the following night, it happened again at exactly 3 a.m. Footsteps, pacing, closer this time. Then, the door handle rattled, just once, as if testing the lock. My heart raced. I crept to the peephole, peering out. The hallway was empty, dimly lit by the emergency bulbs, no one in sight. Hello, I called softly, but no answer. As I backed away, a whisper slithered through the mail slot, my name, drawn out and breathy. Alex. It knew my name. Panic surged. I jammed a chair under the knob, double-checked the deadbolt. Desperate for proof, I set up my old webcam on a tripod, aimed it at the door from inside, and hit record before trying to sleep. But sleep didn't come. The footsteps returned at 3, pacing, rattling the handle longer this time. The whisper came again, clearer. I know you're listening, Alex. I stayed frozen in bed, covers pulled tight until dawn broke and the sounds faded. In the morning, bleary-eyed, I reviewed the footage. Hours of stillness, then at 3:04 a.m., the door creaked open by itself, no one visible, just swinging inward slowly. But I had locked it. The chair was still wedged. On screen, shadows shifted unnaturally in the hallway beyond, but nothing concrete. I showed it to the building super, who chuckled nervously. Old place, drafts maybe. No one's complained before. but his eyes darted like he knew more. That night, the escalation hit hard. Footsteps at 3, handle rattling violently, whispers turning to murmurs. "Open up, Alex. I just want to see you." I couldn't take it. I grabbed my phone, dialed 911, but before connecting, I glanced through the peephole again. There, at the far end of the hallway, stood a tall man, impossibly thin, dressed in dark clothes, motionless under the flickering light. His head tilted slowly, as if appraising me, face obscured in shadow but eyes glinting. The power surged then, lights buzzing before cutting out entirely, leaving only the red glow of the emergency exit sign at the stairwell. Darkness swallowed the hall, my apartment plunged into black. The footsteps resumed closer, deliberate, thumping toward my door. I backed away, blind, fumbling for the bat under my bed. The whispers grew to a hiss. "I'm coming in." No choice, I flung the door open, bat raised, and bolted down the hallway toward the exit, red light pulsing like a heartbeat. Behind me, the footsteps accelerated, slow but gaining, a presence I could feel brushing the air. I slammed through the stairwell door, tumbling down steps, screaming for help. Lights flickered back on as I hit the lobby. Neighbors emerged, groggy and confused. No sign of the man. I moved out the next day, crashing with a friend, until I found a new place across town. Months passed, the nightmares fading to uneasy memories. Then, an email from an unknown address, the new tenant in my old unit. "Hey, found your contact in the lease records. Weird question, do you know about the man who walks the halls at night? Started a few weeks ago, always at 3 a.m. Attached was a blurry photo from their phone, the hallway, empty except for a tall shadow at the end, head tilted. I deleted it, blocked the sender, but that night, my phone rang from an unknown number. Voicemail static, then a whisper, "See you soon, Alex." I haven't slept through the night since. The building has a history. I learned later whispers of an urban legend about a former resident who died alone, pacing the halls in his final hours. But legends don't leave notes, don't call your name. Whatever it is, it's still there, waiting for the next insomniac. The cabin had been in my family for generations, tucked deep in the Maine woods, far from cell signals and streetlights. I needed the escape work stress piling up, city noise grinding me down, so I packed a bag and drove out for a long weekend alone. Arrival felt like stepping into another world, towering pines swallowing the dirt road, the air crisp with pine and earth. The cabin itself was rustic wooden walls, a stone fireplace, no electricity beyond a generator for basics. I unloaded groceries, lit a fire, and settled in with a book. The ticking of an old grandfather clock, the only sound besides my breathing. Night fell quickly, blanketing everything in profound silence, no cars, no voices, just the occasional hoot of an owl. I cooked a simple meal, watched the flames dance, and felt the tension melt away. This was what I needed: isolation, peace. Around midnight, I turned in, the bed creaky but comfortable, darkness absolute once I blew out the lantern. But at 2:47 a.m., a loud knock shattered the quiet 3 sharp raps on the front door. I bolted upright, heart thundering, straining to listen. Silence followed, thick and oppressive. "Hello?" I called, voice echoing oddly. No response. Grabbing a flashlight, I crept to the door, peered through the small window. The porch was empty, moonlight filtering through trees, revealing nothing but shadows. I opened the door cautiously. Cold air rushed in, but no one there. Then I saw them, fresh, wet footprints on the wooden planks, human-sized, leading up to the threshold and stopping. No tracks leading away, as if whoever it was had vanished into thin air. Rain hadn't fallen, the ground was dry. Uneasy, I locked up tight, chalked it to a lost hiker or animal, and tried to sleep. But the clock ticked louder now, each second amplifying my nerves. The next night, it happened again at exactly 2:47 a.m. Loader knocks this time, 4 raps, insistent. I jumped from bed, flashlight in hand, and rushed to the door. Empty porch. But the footprints were back, wetter, muddier, circling the doormat before halting. "Who's out there?" I shouted into the darkness, beams sweeping the trees. Rustling in the underbrush, but nothing visible. I stayed up the rest of the night, generator humming as I paced, coffee in hand. Dawn brought relief, but exhaustion too. I hiked the perimeter during the day, no signs of camps, no trails nearby. That evening, I barricaded the door with a chair, double-checked windows. Yet at 2:47, the knocks came 5 now, booming like fists on wood, closer somehow, as if right against the panels. Footprints appeared inside the porch this time, smudged on the floorboards when I checked at first light. Panic set in, I considered leaving, but the isolation felt trapping. Roads treacherous at night. By the third night, dread coiled in my stomach. I boarded up the door with spare planks, nailed windows shut, locked myself in the bedroom. The clock ticked toward 2:47, each minute agonizing. Right on cue knocks, but muffled now, coming from inside the cabin. From the walls, the floor. I sat bolt upright, flashlight trembling. They grew louder, migrating toward my room, thumping beneath the bed. "This isn't real," I whispered, but then I heard breathing raspy, close. All at once, the boards groaned. I shone the light around and saw the door ajar, despite the lock. Footprints circled the bed, wet and fresh, leading to the edge where a pale figure crouched, skin like parchment, eyes hollow and fixed on me. It whispered my name, Sarah. Voice like rustling leaves. Terror exploded, I screamed, lunged for the window, shattering glass as I tumbled out into the night, running blindly through the woods, branches whipping my face. I made it to the road at sunrise, flagged down a trucker who called the Rangers. They found the cabin doors wide open, footprints everywhere inside, around the bed, even on the ceiling somehow. "No one stayed here in years," the lead ranger said, frowning. "Place was condemned after the last owner disappeared. Locals say it's cursed knocks at night. Visitors who aren't there." I nodded numbly, refusing to go back for my things. Weeks later, safe in the city, my phone buzzed with a photo from an unknown sender, the cabin interior, taken last night. My empty bed with fresh footprints circling it. I deleted it, but the image haunts me. Isolation isn't peace, it's a void where things creep in. And sometimes they follow you home. As the last echoes of these stories fade, I find myself glancing at the windows, listening to the night beyond. It's a reminder of how fragile our sense of safety is, how one shadow, one whisper, can shatter it forever. We've all felt it at some point, that inexplicable chill when alone. The certainty that something watches from the dark. If you've ever experienced your own night terror, a sound that shouldn't be, a presence unexplained, share it in the comments below. Your story might help someone else feel less alone, or warn them. Hit that like button if these tales kept you on edge, and subscribe for more true horrors that lurk in the everyday. Remember, tonight when you're finally alone, just listen. Really listen. Sweet dreams.